All right. Welcome back to the Outdoor Drive Podcast, episode 165. I say the same thing every single time. I don't know why I do that. I guess it's
The last
fun.
time you said 164, so it's not actually the same thing.
No, but it's like how you go about it. Like I need to like be more original, I guess. I'm not all that original anymore. I'm getting kind of lame and set in my ways. I'm on cruise control and just driving along.
It's not a bad thing.
I guess. I guess not. So this is your boy East Coast Trev. I'm joined by the Madman Mardik. What up, buddy?
What's going on, brother?
Hey, I know we just recorded yesterday. We're kind of in the grind here on the drive because things are getting good and we're about, I'm going to Ohio. The rut's about to go. So we got to kind of pinch them down and drop them off,
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you this. No killer's corner today because no one's killed anything in the last 24 hours since the last time we recorded.
Well, these things happen, dude. What are you going to do,
Yeah.
man? You can't do what's not there. Like I said,
That's
we're on
right.
that grind, man. It is what it is. You just got to keep chugging
cranking them
along.
out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's break into the sponsors. We'll get those things out of the way and we'll get on to the intro. What do you say?
Do it up.
All right, man. Huntworthgear.com. Get more for less with Huntworth. And if that's not the truth, I don't know what anything is, man. Huntworth gear is by far known the best gear. I cannot wait. It's 32 degrees tonight. I cannot wait to use some of this heat boost stuff. Like
I was just thinking the same thing. Like I just want it to get cold out because it's just sitting there and I'm dying to use it.
do you know what the good thing about the heat boost is?
What's that?
You don't need batteries.
Oh, that's yeah. Everybody sees heat boost and they think it's got 12-volt batteries in it or something. But
well, the thing is, they say heat boost, right? So like they post online and they'll be like, "Oh, well, it'd be nice if you're what happens if you're sitting for 10 hours?" Well, good thing it doesn't have batteries. It uses your body's heat to then rejuvenate itself and warm you up, dude.
Well, I'll tell you what, I tried mine on the other day because why not? And I'm in the house. I haven't turned the heat on the house yet, but it was probably like 70 degrees in the house. So I tried on everything to make sure it fit. So I put on the heat boost pants and the heat boost jacket, and then I threw the vest on top just to see how everything fit together. I was sweating in like 30 seconds. I had to take it off as quick as I put it on.
It was that good, huh?
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing better than that, dude. Nothing better than that. Nor'easter Game Calls, nor'eastergamecalls.com. Make sure to get your grunt too, man. The rut is about to be here. It's time to start calling. Don't forget to, get in the works for your turkey calls. It is fall season for turkeys. The duck calls, it's duck season. The Sitka calls, if you need those, if you're going down to Eastern Shore. I know it's kind of a niche thing, but he does have them. He makes them all. Anything that you can think of, you can make them. And load up on them now. No better time than now. nor'eastergamecalls.com. Zeus Broadheads, brought to you by neweraarchery.com, the home of the Zeus, the Hera, the Ares, also B16, Steady Form, and all the other good needs over there at neweraarchery.com. And last but not least, Vital Ground Outdoors, vitalgroundoutdoors.com for all of your Amsteel needs. The man, Matt Chichola, will hook you up. I can promise you that, and make you everything that you need, from aiders to daisy chains to rope mods to PSHs, you name it, the click and stick. He's got it all. Get on over there to vitalgroundoutdoors.com and make sure to tell Matt Chichola that Trevor sent you from the Outdoor Drive podcast.
No.
Matt Chichola. You just say Matt Chichola, he'll know where you came from. I can promise you that.
Right. That's the promo code. He'll know it came from the Outdoor Drive.
Yep. Matt Chichola. What up, buddy?
Must be one of Trev's hooligans.
Yeah, Trev's hooligans. That's what it is, dude. Well, it is what it is.
Dude, what an episode tonight.
If that's not the truth, man, these guys are incredible dudes. We met Dawson and Ian at Huntstock, and as I always said, Pat Guy at Put on Huntstock and Pat Burns, they did a phenomenal job. And the people that we met there, dude, these guys are next to none, dude. These guys are the guys.
Well,
love them.
First of all, Ian rolled up in a Tacoma, so we knew he was a solid dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you always know that, right? Because like,
official vehicle kills gonna kill.
Yeah, is a Toyota. So,
but no, man. Like I'm never lost for words. You know me, I love to talk, but tonight I just had to sit back and just listen to the story because it was a wild one.
do you know one of the good things, and we kind of brought it up, but didn't really dive deep into it, is that it's a young man's game. These guys went above and beyond. I mean, yes, you can do it from the road and so on and so forth. It's a hard draw, but these boys went above and beyond the boundary to go and get a very nice moose. They were on nice moose the whole entire time, but they went in further than everybody else would have went to put a big moose in the back of the truck. And that's what it takes, man. That's the drive. The definition of the drive is 10% of people that do 100% of work, and that's them, dude. Like it's cool to hear the story and how they did it, and they got rewarded with a killer moose.
Yeah, but you're starting to see the pattern here. All the guys that we talk to that are willing to put in the extra mile, they're getting rewarded with better than average hunts or better than average trophies. You know what I mean? And this is a perfect story to highlight that.
No, and it's so true. And people might think differently, like, well, I don't have that time, or I don't have that, I have a job, or I have this, or I have that. Yeah, that's fine. But if you just, in that time that you're giving, if you go above and beyond and you push a little bit further or go a little bit further, or you can be that successful. Whether it's shooting does, whether it's shooting bucks, whether it's shooting moose, while it's shooting elk, while it's shooting pronghorn, it doesn't matter. And when it's finding sheds, finding a good fishing hole, catching a big fish, like, you just got to take that extra step and take that extra hour in the morning to go above and beyond to get somewhere where that them big animals are at. I mean, that's the truth
right
to it.
And you said it perfect. Just take the extra step. You're not going to do it all in one shot, but
No.
you got to take that first step first. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's one extra day of scouting here or an extra camera there or whatever it is, it's little baby steps that add up to that extra mile.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to start somewhere. You got to take that first step somewhere,
And it's all, and every, you have to play chess when everybody else is playing checkers. I mean, we said that in this podcast. We say it all the time. Like, it's true. You have to play chess when everybody else is playing checkers. You have to think above you and beyond, and the whole thing is like the rut's about to come, and one of the things with that is like, sit in the tree stand an extra hour or push yourself to stay a little bit longer, or go to that spot and be a little bit more aggressive. Like that's the things that we're talking about. It's not about spending 7 days a week in the woods. Some of us can and some of us can't. But when you're in the woods, you want to be able to do all those things and just go above and beyond, whether it is staying an extra hour, going in and being aggressive. Like, that's what's going to make you a little bit more successful. And these boys did that. They went above and beyond, and they were rewarded with it. And they're great dudes. We just got to know them, but dude, I love them to death. They're great dudes. They push it harder than everybody else, with the shed hunting, with the name.
The name says it all.
It does.
Boundaries.
It does, man. And it's, if you guys haven't already, man, go and check them out. You guys are going to hear the podcast and stuff, but they're next to none, dude. They're the next up and coming, dude. They really are. They're doing everything that they should be, and they're holding it down for the Northeast, for the Northeast. I mean, they're in the big woods. They're doing things a little bit different than everybody else. We'll have to have a podcast with them about deer tracking, because it really excites me. Deer tracking excites me. It's a different thing that we don't get to do a ton, something we don't know a thing about. I'm going to go and do some this year, but I don't know what I'm literally going to be the little guy in the corner that's just going to, I'm not going to be able to say anything. What am I going to hold a conversation about? I don't know about, all I know about is using an elevate stand to mobile hunt with a saddle, like get in a pinch point and hunt. I don't know how to track. What is that? I don't know what that's about. I don't even know what a buck. What do you know about? And I know about big buck tracks in the snow.
I know that if I followed one, I'd go about 100 yards and I'd hit a property line and have to stop.
Right, exactly. So it's just cool, man. It was just a really cool podcast, and we kind of go through all the ins and outs of moose hunting. The how to draw a tag, how hard it is to draw a tag, and it's just a really cool podcast, man. It really is. I had a lot of fun. And before we crack into this, man, make sure you guys head on over to YouTube, hit the subscribe, the like, and the notification button for us. And also, if you guys are on any of the platforms, iTunes, give us a 5-star review, tell a friend, and make sure to get on over to The Outdoor Drive on Facebook. We have a little group that's off of our main page, and it's a good little community of guys. We all hang out in there. We tell our stories. We share our hunts, and it's just a good community that we're trying to build over there. So make sure to go and check that out. Well, man, should we get on to the Beyond the Boundary boys and see what they got to say?
Let's get after it.
All right, let's go get them. All right, guys, we're back on the phone with the boys from Beyond the Boundaries. What's going on, guys?
Not much. Still recovering from the moose hunt.
Are you guys a little tired? I feel like you guys are a little bit like off of it, no?
Went straight from a moose hunt to setting traps, so I got to keep moving or else it's dipping out.
From a moose hunt to bringing the moose head down to a taxidermist, and haven't done anything for the past couple days.
Oh, I don't blame you, man. It was a hell of a moose. Why don't we turn the key, man? Let's get this thing underway. Why don't you guys introduce who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do? We'll start at the top. Ian, go ahead, buddy.
My name is Ian McKendry, kind of the founder of Beyond the Boundaries. Started it kind of solo for a while, and then kind of roped Dawson into coming out and pointing a camera at me, putting traps in the water back in high school. Grew up in Jackman, love to hunt and fish and be outside as much as I can. 2020 kind of really sparked off the YouTube channel for us. A lot of shed hunting content where a lot of people probably know us for that. And then they probably saw a couple of videos last year, deer hunting, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and then shooting a big 8-pointer with my cousin last year. Got a lot of people to the channel, but kind of all about getting new people out in the woods, showing people that you don't have to have everything to do this. Yeah, some things helps, but just getting out in the woods, that's what matters. The whole slogan behind Live More, Go Beyond is don't doubt yourself. Do something if you put your mind to it. Buy that out-of-state tag, take that chance, and go have some fun.
Go ahead, Dawson. Introduce yourself, buddy.
I'm Dawson Dago, born and raised in Jackman, Maine. I don't have a huge story like Ian just gave, but kind of helping Ian out with Beyond the Boundaries. Gosh, he had this channel going for how many years, Ian, did you have the channel going for?
It's been a while. I started this thing. It's been through like 3 different name changes. So yeah, I'd say Beyond the Boundaries really started like 2 years ago. Yeah,
because we had a couple name ideas and I threw Beyond the Boundaries out there and that one kind of stuck. But yeah, I born and raised in Jackman and just a Maine boy, do trapping, hunting, fishing my whole life and continue to do it and get it all in video and share it with the world. So
that's awesome. How about you, Tanner?
All right, well, I'm Tanner Daigle, Dawson's older brother, and if he doesn't have much of a story compared to Ian, then I have absolutely no existence in this whatsoever until this moose happened. I'm born and raised in Jackman also, and I really didn't get into hunting until coming back from college break back in like 2015, 16. Because I had nothing to do when I got home. So I ended up going out with Dawson and I started to fall more in love with it. Once I got done school, it was just something I look forward to every year, and bird hunting really triggered that, trying to go out and get a deer, which I haven't done yet, but hoping to get that done this year. I still got to get a turkey for my Grand Slam if I want that. But yeah, they took me in, they let me become a part of it. I think this really sealed the deal as now me being a member of Beyond the Boundaries.
That's awesome, man.
Tanner's definitely lying there. I've got a video of him in 2016, muzzleloader rifle deer hunting with me, and he fell asleep on a tree. We got some early content with
sleeping in the tree stand. Movie sat on Uncle Joe's stand.
I wasn't sleeping. I was playing like I think I was playing a dinosaur hunting game. That I don't know. I don't remember.
That's the worst thing about having a camera in the tree. There's no lying. There's truth to everything behind it. You get caught sleeping, you get caught doing something you're not supposed to or whatever, you're gonna get caught out on it 100% with having a camera in the tree or on the ground for you guys. You guys are all trackers, obviously.
Yeah, tracking just a way of life up here though.
It's a totally different way of life because in all reality, like it's not that far from us and you guys all track and we all hunt from a tree stand. Like tracking is not a thing. And it's crazy that it's so diverse in such a small area, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Well, in Maine, like 90-something% of Maine's privately owned paper companies. And, it's so vast. And to pick a tree where a deer is going to walk by in so many acres of land, it's just super hard. So it's almost easier to get on the track and go after them and find them that way.
That's basically a needle in a haystack.
It is. And I mean, it's different when you're in southern part of the state. You got food plots, you got fields and stuff. But up in this northwestern part, it's all mountains, hills, and trees. So to find where they're going to walk by, it's almost impossible.
You'd have to do your homework hardcore to pinpoint exactly when and where that deer.
And
that's just a hope.
There's really no science behind it. It's just the deer go where they want to go, and there's really no predicting them here.
Jeez, I couldn't imagine, especially how many trees there is.
Yeah, right. They're not cutting them down.
That's a moving needle in that.
Yeah. Yep.
I've always heard it as when you're deer hunting, especially tracking, it's always the case of you're playing checkers and the deer are playing chess. It's one of my favorite quotes when it comes to deer hunting in Maine, especially up in these parts.
It's so crazy. Maine is like, it's always been a detraction for everybody to go up there and hunt. And like that whole camaraderie, we talk about it a lot on the podcast, the camaraderie of the deer camp, right? And how it's like kind of gotten lost, but not in your neck of the woods, right? Because it's still that like everybody on the weekends, they go to deer camp, everybody hangs out. And I know when I went to deer camp anyways, that the old timers just sit there, smoke cigarettes and play cards. I don't think there's any hunting that's actually done at deer camp. It's just to get away from the wives.
Yeah. Do you guys down there still do like tag stations and stuff?
Nope.
See, up here, it's you're driving by the tagging station, you see a deer hanging. I mean, people are just pouring in left and right to see how big it is, see if it hits 200 pounds, because you still have to tag your deer up here at the tagging station, which I'm hoping they never do away with that.
Steve, it's funny that you bring that up, honestly, because Steve, were you on the podcast when I was talking about that? No, maybe not. But there was a podcast and we were talking about that and how important it was. Like when I was a kid, that like opening day of deer season, you would get out of the tree at like 9:00 to race down before they open the checking station at 10 a.m. And you'd sit there and you get a coffee and you would literally just BS with everybody in line about their hunt for the day. And then you would hang out there and you'd see who brought in stuff all day long. Like there'd be 50 people in the parking lot and only 5 of them have deer, but they would all be there BSing about their hunt and what happened and who shot what. And I miss that. Honestly, I really honestly do.
Yeah, that's kind of where the whole Tales from the Tailgate came from, because back then the only time you got to show off your buck was show up at the check station and everybody could sit around the tailgate and see your deer. And now without check stations, you just post it on Facebook and get like 500 likes. It's not the same,
No,
absolutely not the same. When I know Tanner probably got a handful of these when I was in college, it was always a picture that would get sent to you in your messages, and it's always on the tailgate, and you can see the scale getting lowered down to it. And it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Fucking,
and that's,
you start guessing.
oh,
Yeah.
That's great.
We have the dollar game up here. Everyone puts in $1 to guess the weight, and it's mostly done with bear, but I think they do it with deer too. And whoever guesses the closest to the weight, you get the whole pot.
See, that's so cool. Like we're missing out on this. Like it drives me nuts. I know. I remember the podcast. I was actually on another podcast, Generations to Hunt, our buddy Joseph, and I was on his podcast because he was talking about the buck post or they call it something, but it's the same exact thing. It's a local sportsman shop, and everybody would go there. And when you killed the buck, you put it up there, and the same thing, they would bet on it, and everybody hang out and tell stories. Like, that's really what hunting's all about. And it's so nice that Northern New England hasn't lost that. Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, it's all that. It's that camaraderie of hunting. And us in Connecticut, shitty liberal Connecticut, has totally lost all of that. It's gone. It's gone. It's so irritating.
Yeah, when you walk into the local gas station up here, you're either going to see like the old whiteboard on the side that's got everybody's name written on it, be doe urine for sale under the counter, or there's a big buck board where up here, Flagstaff General in the Eustis area just took on the responsibility of tagging station. And this year, their first year, they're going to run a big buck contest where that's a lot of the drive for this. That idea for you guys, when you look at a deer and you call up Steve and go, dude, I just saw a 160-inch buck run across the field. I called Dawson. I go, dude, I just saw a 240-pound deer run across the field. Where it's that kind, I'd almost say it's a cultural difference or a geological difference.
It really, truly, honestly is. Like,
Yeah.
And well, that's the same as like you guys, you have the 200 club for bucks. And then you guys weigh your bears with the guts in.
Yep.
That's how they measure. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a ton of that stuff, and we don't do anything like that. It changes here because we're like, oh, how big's the rack? Is it over 125 inches? You know, like that's all we care about. The body is nothing, which you guys are totally different. That still goes back to that camaraderie, that deer camp, like who shot the biggest buck, but it's not about the antlers. It's about the biggest body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't start hearing about antlers till probably the past few years. Like antlers we always wanted the big rack, but when they say, oh, I shot 130 whatever deer, he was 130 deer, it's like 130 pounds or 130 inches.
Right.
And when people are saying 200, it's like 200 pounds or 200 inches, which I mean that's massive. But I mean 200-pound deer, it's fairly common up here, but to get a 200-pound deer with a 120-inch rack is a really good deer.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, and you guys get some big deer with big antlers though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Did you see the one shot up was it 2 years ago, Ian? That one was up in the Allagash.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
Monster.
the Allagash Guide Service,
Yeah.
like head guide for him shot like a 207.
That's the Allagash buck.
Yeah,
Yeah, he shot it right in his backyard.
I believe it.
Yeah.
He tracked it a little ways.
Yeah.
Tracked it.
It's
I'd open up the track of my back door and I'll shoot a 200-inch deer out of the back door any day.
actually, I know a guy that actually has the antlers from that deer from the year prior.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Small world.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, right? It's totally crazy. I'll have to show you guys pictures of them, but no, it's definitely cool. Can we go over like how important it is or how hard it is to get a moose tag? Like me and Mardik were talking about it prior to the podcast. Like even, like I've been putting in for probably 5-6 years, not even knowing, and I've never gotten drawn. So is there like a difference between residents and non-residents? Do they get drawn differently? Like, is there two different pots, and how hard is it actually?
There's a percentage that goes to non-residents, and it's a very low percentage.
I want to say it's under 20%.
I think it was 13 or 17%, something like that.
That sounds about in the ballpark. And I'm sure on Dawson's side, like all his family and stuff, I've known of a handful of tags out there. I put in at 11 years old and got drawn the first year I ever put in. And everybody in town was like, this is such horse shit. Like, Ian's just getting lucky. And I don't know, years later, I think back to that of like, I kind of wish I had that tag now instead of at 11 years old, where I remember so much of that tag, but still would have liked it at a later age. And then
I'm still waiting. At least you got a tag and Tanner got a tag. I still haven't got
after
it.
like
Oh, so Dawson, you've never drawn before?
I haven't drawn, no.
yeah.
I've been putting in since I was 10.
I'm the first one in my family to get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, so that goes to show how hard it is to actually get a moose tag.
My uncle waited 30
Absolutely.
years.
How
He
long?
got drawn 30 years, and he got drawn 3 years ago and shot the third biggest in Jackman that year, but it took him 30 years to get drawn.
My uncle in the same town, 27 years. He was on my hunt with me and left the day that I shot one. 27 years it took that guy to draw a tag and then didn't find a moose.
Wow.
It shows you how random it is. Like, there's someone that's up here, I won't name names, but they're a vegan, okay? It's her first year putting in for a moose tag and got drawn. A vegan. Her husband's a guide, but it's her first year putting in and she got drawn.
Wow. So that's funny that you say that, because our friends at Big Machias, Jeff, the owner, he got one, but he's been putting in for X amount of years after that and hasn't drawn. His wife put in, I want to say, in the first 1 to 3 years, and ends up drawing. She shot a beautiful moose this year, but it just goes to show it's just luck of the draw. Martic could put in this year and draw, or he can wait 25 years,
Well, might have to do that.
Last year, a guy came up here and hunted from New York, first time putting in from New York as a non-resident, got drawn, bought a gun for this hunt because he didn't have a gun yet, and came up in a Volvo, like little car. And they shot a 30-inch moose, and they took the head back and some meat, but they left the rest of the meat for the guide to have. But my other uncle, he put in for however long, got drawn for a cow tag, didn't find a cow, waited his 3 years, put back in, got drawn for a bull tag, and shot his bull.
Jeez.
So I mean, back to back, he did his 3-year wait period to put back in, and then got drawn right off.
Wow.
I think it's worth saying it too, where Tanner kind of made this harder on himself.
Yeah.
When you apply for the moose tag, you're allowed to put in for like 10 different preferences for zones.
Yeah.
So like Trevor, you and I know some zones pretty well. So click, 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 those ones go at the top. Tanner over here goes zone 8, my backyard, zone 8. Like the whole list, and
just for a bull.
Bull tag.
Only bull.
It was only for a bull, and I lucked out.
Quite.
What is the absolute chance of that? Like it's not like you're going to get put in. Yeah, right. Exactly. It's not like you're going to be able to put in for like that zone and get that zone. Like it doesn't matter. Like you're not getting extra for every time you put in 8.
No, it was just
He just did it to make sure. He's like, I'm getting this.
I want zone 8.
Which,
I don't want anything else.
For me, I'll put in for 8 for blah blah blah. I'm not going to name them all.
Yeah.
And then if I get a zone that I'm not, too fond of, you have the ability to trade that zone for a different zone. And so if I drew like a zone 1 tag and I want zone 8, I could trade my zone 1 for zone 8 if someone's willing to. If not, then I'm stuck with zone, which I probably would never trade a zone 1 tag anyway. But
yeah, I was gonna say, if I get a zone 8, I will definitely trade you for zone 1. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
sure.
let me talk about like the why I chose zone 8. Though I've never had the experience out there of actually like looking for moose in zone 8, let alone all the other ones. It was the fact that I know zone 8 was the closest to home. So I had the feeling I had the best opportunity to, if I got it done, I could get back and weigh it, because I wanted the biggest moose. We never ended up bringing it out full body. We'll get to that story when we get there. But zone 8 was my comfort zone because it's, like Ian said, my backyard.
Right.
And it was close to home, but it's one of the largest zones in the state. So we still had quite some area to cover.
Yeah, because Martic was asking that, like, how far away were you from home when you shot the moose?
We were
40 miles.
40 miles.
Yeah, I'd say during the week, like, God, we only went 9 one way and like 15 or 20 one way.
It's tough to not give away spots.
It's really tough when you start looking at this. Of like, I could tell you, we only in a big circle, we only had like 30 or 40 miles that we really covered. But when I say covered, we went here for one spot, we went over here for another, and then we went way to the bottom for the other third spot. And we only hunted for 3 days. So it would have been like Thursdays up here in the pouring rain, Fridays way over in the other corner.
Well, then you split your days in half too. You could
Yeah.
be one spot in the morning and completely different spot in the evening. It
Yeah.
all depends how your morning goes and what the weather is. Weather is a huge factor, as it was for us that day.
Well, why are we beating around the bush? Let's dive right into this, guys. Let's talk about it. I want to know straight from when you guys are telling this story, though, and before we dive really into it, I want to know what goes into moose hunting, because a lot of us don't know or understand what you're doing to produce a moose to put it in the back of the truck, as far as calling, finding that moose, and take us through all the steps and why you're taking those steps.
Money.
I'm going to start a little bit of this before you guys.
Go for it.
April 20th. There's only one person that'll know where I found this. I found a enormous antler. Just biggest, actually, it's right over there. 14 pounds, huge brown. Lost my mind in the woods, called Dawson from the woods. Flash forward to June. We're standing at the town office in Jackman, and Tanner's name gets yelled over the mic. And we figure out, I don't know how we found that out that day, that it was a zone 8 bull tag. And right when we found that out, it was like, bingo, this is the bull we're going after. So what was it? A month? I think it was September 10th. Dawson and I took 4 trail cameras and a single day, which I would have rathered it been like a weekend or 2 or 3 days to run around the woods. But that's just hindsight. We can do it for the next tag. We got up in the woods, put out 4 trail cameras, one being, I want to say it was only like 125 yards or something from where I found this antler. Same cut, same hillside, same kind of deal. And we came back and had this idea. I mentioned it to Tanner and Dawson and offered it to them. I've had a canvas wall tent for a little while. We're going to set up this wall tent. We're going to do kind of a backcountry style hunt out of our backyard, so to speak, when we're a ways in the woods. But doing it like that, you get so much more of that like outside ambiance kind of thing, if you will. The vibes from the woods are unmatched, and we all kind of chase that feeling.
Traditional moose camp feeling.
Traditional is a great word for it. So going in, I checked the trail camera, didn't tell Dawson that I had pulled the card and got to camp, and we checked it that night. I'll send you the video later. If I had to take a guess, he's like 57 inches, pushing 60, I bet. He's 16 to 18 points. And to me personally, I haven't seen enough big moose, but this moose has to be every bit of 1,000 pounds. There was a bull that walked by the camera before him, and he's got 1.5 feet on the shoulder above this other one. It's just something out of our dreams. At the end of the week, that moose's name ended up being Ghost, for good reason. I'll let you go ahead with the rest or part of this, Dawson.
So, yeah, Ian showed me the picture on the camera
Video.
and we actually got a video of Tanner's reaction looking at it the next day. And he is a giant, so we were kind of, dead set on him for Monday anyway.
Especially me.
Yeah, once Tanner saw him, he was like, let's do it, let's get him. So you want me to go right into it, Ian? How we go into it that Monday morning?
Yeah, start Monday.
Okay, so we got up 3:30 Monday morning, making sure we beat the crowds, and we get into our spot. We're walking in, and it mind you, it's colder than balls that morning. It was some cold. We had snow flurries the night before, and we're walking in there, Ian's giving some grunts, some cow calls, raking some bushes. We get in up past the camera, we're walking up a hill, and we're kind of just making noise all the way up through, not trying to be quiet, trying to sound like a moose getting up in there. We stop trying to figure out where we're going to go next. And we hear a branch break. And like, as soon as we hear the branch break, Ian's like taking for cover. And after I heard that branch break, I heard an antler on the trees. So I'm like, oh shit, we got to jump in.
Don't forget, this is just minutes after Ian had just said,
Oh,
they can come out of nowhere, like
Yeah.
quietly.
so we heard that, and Ian's jumping in cover, me and Tanner are jumping in cover, and we're all kind of settled down and quiet, and we're looking around. Ian, I think you were trying to do a little bit of calling, right?
I had jumped into a bush trying to pick up my camera and like kind of figure out where this thing was coming from.
It died, right?
The camera was dying midstream of this thing, less than 100 yards when the first stick broke.
Yeah.
So Dawson and Tanner kind of snuck into the bushes a little bit and sat down. And from my angle, I couldn't see anything. And Dawson looked up. Tanner spins around to me, and they both at the same time turn and goes, like, eyes as big as oranges. It's him. It's him. It's Pickett.
Well, we sat down for a minute before we saw him. Tanner finally saw the brown face peeking through the spruce.
Oh my God.
And he's like, he's right there. I'm like, where? He's like, he's right there. So Tanner grabbed my basically my neck, pulled me in, and I'm like, where is he? He's like, right there. And I'm like, oh shit, he's right there. And all I could see was his face, one paddle, and the top of his other paddle. And like, so we look back at Ian and like, it's him, it's Pickett, because his name was Pickett at the time, because he's basically a picket fence. And I pull my gun up because I can kind of, I see his face, so I put my crosshairs between his eyes. And I think Tanner's kind of in shock, just kind of like, holy crap, there's a moose right there.
Yeah,
He never pulled his gun up.
I won't lie, I was in shock, but like from what I could see without the scope, I'm like, there's no shot for me.
There was no,
and I didn't want to shoot
shot.
I didn't want to shoot his head.
There was no ethical shot.
That was precious to me.
And he kind of turned and disappeared
without a noise,
Gone.
without a single noise.
So this is the big one.
This is the giant.
the bull.
And you saw him in person.
Face to face at what, 40 yards?
Yeah.
Yeah, 45 yards, about an hour into Monday morning.
Yep, staring at us.
The trail cam video we got of this bull, I'm going to send it to you right now so we can have your reaction to him. That bull was in that cut 5 days before opening day. So in our heads, it's kind of like, maybe he's there, maybe one of his buddies are there. Oh, well, maybe he's kind of on his circle back through, whatever. And to catch him an hour into Monday morning, it's just kind of like,
Unreal.
This can't be real.
What I'll do is, I'll send you my email, send it to my email, and I'll pull it up on this screen.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
everybody else can see it too, if you don't mind.
I'd love to see that video again.
And the crazy part about it is,
I'll send it to the outdoor drive one.
while we're on the
Oh yeah, you
story-
have that email, Ian? Yeah, cool. Sorry.
while we're on the story of Ghost, we hunted him for, kind of for a few days. We kind of gave that spot a rest the next day. But we had a camera up over on the other side called the Boulevard, and we didn't check that camera till we were tagged out. But Ian checked it, and what was it, 9 a.m. that same morning we saw him, Ian?
Yeah, so we saw that bull probably, I'm going to say easy 8:30 in the morning. We walked into that spot kind of cleanly, and he was waiting for us.
Jeez.
I checked that camera on Thursday coming out, and that moose was on the Boulevard camera at 9 a.m. He made it half a mile, roughly, up and over in less than half an hour and crossed in front of this camera in broad daylight. One of the biggest moose I've ever seen. In person, it was the biggest moose I'd ever see.
Wow.
But I will save the tidbit for when we get to what Wednesday morning happened.
You gotta save it.
Yeah.
You don't want to finish Ghost's story since we didn't kill him.
Ghost lives on.
All right. The tidbit for Ghost being his name and how he escaped Monday morning. We switched it up to Ghost. He escapes without a sound. Through Tuesday, we had another spot that had a decent bull that we called low bed. Tuesday came and went pretty quick with a cow sighting in the morning, slight heat during the day. And then in the evening, a less than ideal spot at the top of the hill, and then a pretty ideal spot at the bottom of the hill, where Wednesday came quickly. And we decided to go back into what we call Ghost Town now. Show up into Ghost Town. Tanner's girlfriend got to come with us, which was a blessing. She filmed for us, which was huge. So Cass, when you watch this, thank you. We're all sitting around the truck, kind of shooting it, like, what are we going to do? Where are we going to walk through? Like, is this still our plan? 19 minutes before shooting light on Wednesday morning, we hear paddles coming through the trees, and it is a jungle where this noise is coming from. It is.
We heard one paddle coming through the tree.
Antlers, and just tell everybody to get behind the truck. And we sit there, and I poke my head out and put up the binos. Who's looking at us but Ghost at 65 yards, and all you can see is like the outline of the face and his left antler up shining in the moonlight. It's something out of a movie.
It was unreal.
And I didn't say anything at the time to everybody of like, I can only see one paddle in the binos. Like I can only see that left side there. And that left side really sticks with me because that's not the side I found last year. And he stands there for probably 3 to 5 minutes and then spins out. Didn't jump, didn't run. He just kind of turned, walked out. So that video right there is the one that haunted us all week.
OMG.
He's
Yeah.
a boss.
What do you think?
Holy jeez, man.
You
That's-
agree with me on 1,000 pounds?
Oh, absolutely. All day long, dude. Wow. What an incredible animal. And dude, listen, look at the balls on that thing.
All right.
Put him on the rack. Let's look at the nutsack on this dude.
Yeah.
It's so wide.
Talk about some Rocky Mountain oysters.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Had to break up the monotony a little bit. All right. No, dude,
Yeah.
that thing's got to be 60 inches wide, dude.
He's got to be.
You
He's
got to
gotta
send him FaceTime one of them.
We
Yeah, I
stood
showed
in that spot and I looked at it and I'm sitting there. I'm 6'4". I'm sitting there with my wingspan sitting there and I'm like sitting there like my hands reach exactly how far his antlers go. Like this is a rack.
Right. That one that I had at Huntstock, Trevor.
Yeah. That's one of his.
That's the
Boom.
antler I had at Huntstock. That's his.
Holy
That's our
jeez.
assumption anyway. It looks like it'll match to him.
We were gonna compare it when we put him on the ground, but he
Yeah.
never let us.
Jeez. Ian, do we
So-
need a dog?
I think we do.
We might
think I
need to go
need
for a
that.
walk.
I'm going for a walk. So the ending to this is that Thursday leaving after packing up camp, check that camera, and Monday evening at about, I want to say 8:45 or something,
10 hours after we saw him.
Ghost broke his right antler off. And I have a video of it.
Of him breaking his antler off?
Not
He's up.
breaking it off, but I have a video of him walking through, and it's like, oh my God, this is what I saw Wednesday morning. Because it's this big illuminated left side walking away from the camera. I've never gotten a frontal view of this thing with both antlers. The daytime view, he kind of like walks by, kind of like, I don't know, perpendicular to the camera, turns a little bit, and then just walks out.
I had to correct.
Excuse me. And then he just walks by, and you can see right off the front of his face, there's a front poking out from the right side. So he shattered this antler off, what I'm guessing right here. Right here or right like both of those points. So there's at least 1 point still on that main beam. So when my ducks get back in a row, I'm going up there and trying to stay up there until I find that antler. And I have a really good idea of where it is.
Holy jeez.
I've been studying the maps and I want to see how much he grew, because this antler's only got 2, 3, 7 points. He blew up considerably. He added 2 to 3 points per side.
And
God knows how much more he inflated. I'm thinking he's 8 years old, because I mean, this base is huge. It's got that mass to it, but
I think he
Got
might
that
be a
triple
10.
front.
he's got a double right now.
Oh,
and
does he?
I think he kept the double. I think he kept that double, but
Gosh, he's a
not
big
as
boy.
big as it gets.
Wow.
Yeah. We're not going to dive too far into the story of Ghost, because that's my next tag. And I'm going to
Yes.
shoot him low at 20 yards. I'm going to have all the sheds off him. It's going to be this fairy tale.
I mean, you give me 3 years, and if we don't get a tag, but I end up getting it again, we can go for it.
How crazy is that, though? He actually snapped his paddle off within 12 hours of us seeing him with both paddles.
So that was my next question. Was there a ton of big moose in that area that he could have been fighting another moose? Or, I mean, how could something, I mean, dude, we know what those things do. We throw those things around. We throw them in trucks. We step on them. We beat them. You're not breaking no moose antler. I mean, and it goes to show 2 close to 1,000-pound antlers. I mean, animals smashing into each other.
You find that limit where, when I was calling for these two, I had like a, I don't know, 5, 6-year-old antler that I was raking trees with. And when moose do that, like they hang up and then they baseball swing their antler, I did that and snapped the antler right off. Where it's a 5-year-old antler, I didn't think too much of it. I cannot imagine like
Big brown like his
the
snapping.
number. I can't imagine the poundage that is needed. Right, you're going to get into physics trying to talk about this of like, all right, you got the 925 bull, or you got the 725 bull. That's like the second runner up on the block. How fast are they going? Where do they meet? And like, how is my only question. How did that happen so perfectly to where we didn't shoot him Monday? Dawson could have shot him right in the face. Wouldn't have been pretty, wouldn't have been ethical. So we didn't. And we said it all week of, we passed on the shot, not the bull. We wanted him bad.
Right.
And then he snaps his antler off. And I got a video of it.
Within
And I
11.
don't just have to live on that all year.
Yeah, the fact that he snapped it off so soon, it wasn't like we saw him Monday and he snapped it off Wednesday. He snapped it off within 12 hours of us seeing him.
Yeah.
And then we saw him again with only one,
Yeah.
which is unbelievable.
Dude.
To pick
That's
back up
Mind
and-
blowing.
Yeah.
one of the stories that will, like, greatest stories that will never be known.
It's crazy. But forget Ghost. We didn't kill him. We killed
Yeah.
one just as good. Almost.
Big dog.
Big Dog. That's his name. Big Dog.
Go
So
for
take
it.
us through it, man.
Yeah, so we hunted Monday at Ghost Town and then another spot. Tuesday, we went, like Ian said, we went to a spot in the morning, saw a cow, didn't see anything Tuesday evening. And then we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. Ian had some spots. Me and Ian were butting heads all week. It was ridiculous. We never butted heads so hard. It was bad, but Ian had some spots. I had some spots. It was hot, going to be hot on Wednesday. I wanted to hunt feed. Ian wanted to hunt water. And I pinned the spot Tuesday night and not thinking, it was also next to water. Well, me and Ian sat down while Tanner went for a walk. And we kind of agreed on a spot that had water and feed. And we kind of just walked between them. So we go walking up in there. I got an antler in one hand. I'm raking. Ian's grunting. I'm raking. We're making noise all the way up. So if there's anything within, half a mile, it's going to hear us. And Ian's letting out some cow calls.
I don't
And-
think we really cow called until we got up to that
I think we only did like 2 on the way up, and I think it was like minor. And we're getting up in there, and we're walking in the center between the wooded center between the feed, the old cut, and the water. And Ian finds a scrape on the ground, and he's explaining to Cass and Tanner, this is what a buck's, it's a buck scrape doing this. And I'm like, I don't think that's a buck scrape, because there was no broken licking branch. There was a licking branch, but it wasn't a licking branch. It could pass for one, but it wasn't.
Seemed too low.
Yeah, and it wasn't broken up. And I'm like, that's a moose scrape. And Ian gets down, and there's moose piss on a leaf still.
Still on the leaf.
Yeah, he smells it. He's like, that's moose piss. So we start stirring it up, getting it on our boots, getting it on our pants. Ian puts it on his hat. And now this area reeks of moose piss. This cow piss just reeks it. Ian probably still smells like it. He probably sleeps with his hat on.
Man. We stirred that up so hard. You could just take a big whiff. It's like, love the smell of cow piss in the evening.
Oh man, it was rough, and it was swirling winds, so it kind of worked to our advantage stirring that piss up. So no matter where a bull was coming from, he was going to catch wind of that. And Ian had a little baggie. We stuffed the baggie full of dirt. We would have used it later in the week if we made it that far. We keep walking up this tree growth between the food and water. We find another cow scrape. We tear that one up, just getting in it. And same deal, it just reeks of cow piss. We go a little farther, and Cass is walking behind us. And she's like, "There a dog barking?" And I'm like, "Not out here. That could be coyotes." And then it did it again, and Ian heard it, and I heard it, and we're like, "That's a bull grunt." We're like, "We gotta hide. We gotta take cover." And this, mind you, this sounds like it's 300 yards away. It's a long ways away, and Ian lets out a little sexy cow call. And next thing you know, this thing's 100 yards away, closing in fast. You just hear, oh.
Ian grabbed me, and he looked at me. He's like, "Tanner, you go right there to the base of that hill and you watch."
Yeah, we thought he was
he basically threw me over there, and I was like, "All right." And he's like, "Wait." And we're waiting for him to start coming over the hill. And all of a sudden we hear him grunt, and we're like, "Oh shit. He's way farther to our left than we thought."
He was coming up where the cow piss was, like basically on a string where we stirred the cow piss up. And he's coming and just just grunting the whole way in. Ian, and he kind of hangs up. He's kind of smelling around. Ian has another cow call. He comes in a little more. With that cow call and mixed with that cow piss, you cannot beat it. It is a deadly combination.
That was a dead moose walking before he had a hole in him. He's 75 yards where he hung up.
And then he came in a little closer, hung up again. That's where on the video you hear the cow call again. And he kind of takes a couple steps and puts his head up. And that's where me and Tanner are trying to get a shot, but like it's like this. We can't see anything. It's brushy in front of us. And like he knew something was there. I almost think he just thought there was a cow there, but he really wanted to make sure, because we sounded like a bull all the way up. And I don't doubt he heard it. So he might have thought there was also another bull around. He's kind of watching for him, but we're trying to get a shot at this guy.
Oh my God.
Ian's got a good video of him on your phone, right? You had your phone in your hand. Cass is behind me and Tanner.
GoPro.
And I got my GoPro, of course, it's pointing at my face, so you cannot see the moose. But
made for
Tanner has his Tacticam going. We had all the cameras going.
We had like 5 different
but it was so thick you can barely see the moose. And we're waiting.
Let me explain this. This part's great because we're sitting there. Ian's like, "You guys got a shot," and we're both looking at Ian like, "Ian, we need to move where you are. We can't see anything." And Ian's like, "Wait, when he moves, you move." And so he starts moving, and we didn't move.
We had no. We were looking at it.
We couldn't.
He had us pinpointed.
He was pinpointed. So we're sitting there, and Dawson's like, "Tanner, you got a shot?" I'm like, "I think so." And I look over. I'm like, No. And then I'm like, I'm on and off with my decision. Like, yeah, I got one. Wait, no, I don't. Look through my scope again.
You can hear me in the video. I'm like, I got it right between his eyes. You could hear, I am dead ready to pull this trigger right between his eyes and drop him.
I knew he was. So I finally took one more moment. I'm like, all right, let's listen to Ian, what he said before at the beginning of the week. I looked at the moose's face. I followed his hump as best as I could. And once I got to the top of his hump, I'm like, okay. And then I put it down a foot. I'm like, this is the shot. And I'm like, all right, I have a shot. And Dawson's like, you're shooting? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to shoot. Is Ian ready? I had to make sure Ian was ready because we had to get this on footage.
Yeah, you can hear it.
So I'm like,
Ian, you ready? He's like, shoot. I'm like, Ian, you ready? He's like, shoot. I'm like, okay.
And Dawson's like, okay. I'm like, all right, shooting. And all of a sudden, we just made those guns sing. It was just boom, boom,
bang, bang. And what happened is Tanner had his shot, and I could only see his head. But I planned when Tanner shoot, he was going to turn to his right and quarterback into the cut. And when he came back by that spruce tree, I was going to let him have it. I shot, I jack another one, and I take a few steps to the left, pull up, I take another shot. One of us, well, it wasn't Tanner. One of my two shots smoked a tree right through it. And I mean, it was like,
no, it wasn't. It was like this big around.
No, it was like,
it wasn't huge.
It was like 20 inches. It was huge. No,
yeah, redwood.
Blew right through it. And I look back at Ian. I'm like, I don't know if we hit him. It was just so thick. So we're like, let's run up. We run up. I'm walking up, and my GoPro video shows it. I'm like looking at the hole in the tree. I'm like, oh, we hit the tree. I'm looking, and you see me do a double take on the video. I'm
the hardest double take I've ever
he's
seen.
Right there. And I pull up. I'm like, Tanner, get over here. Tanner gets over, and he's like, boom. I shoot again, and then, gosh, I go to shoot again, and I'm like, click. I'm like, oh, I'm out. I'm like, take him again. And then Tanner shoots. I saw a blood spray. And then he kind of went all wobbly on us and just
it wasn't even a full wobble. It was literally half a wobble and tip over.
He just dumped, which we got the dumping part on video for most of it, and then cast pan to us. And there was some. Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
And then there were some pretty words said by me.
All I'm happy is I called it at the beginning of the week, and I was gonna do it, and I managed to do the Luke Bryan. Is he down? Is he down?
And it was pretty cool. 45-inch bull. He would have been a lot wider if his antlers didn't stick so far up. It's super unique. He looked cool. He would have been probably close to 50 inches if he sat flatter, or at least 50 anyway.
They're like that cone type.
Yeah, it kind of came up instead of coming out. It came really
Big,
pretty bull.
No, still a sexy bull.
Oh,
I wouldn't have passed him. I saw before I pulled the trigger and I saw him come in. I saw him turn his head, and I was like, "Oh God!"
Yeah, you hear me on the video, and I look back at you, and I'm like, "He's a fucking giant. He's a fucking giant." Before we even shoot him, because all I could see was his paddles coming through, him grunting, just whoa. It was amazing. And he got his name Big Dog because he sounded like a dog at first. When we first heard him, it sounded like dogs barking in the distance. So that's the name Big Dog.
So now he's down on the ground, but this is just the start to the hunt, because it gets, this is where it all starts. The fun is over. Now the work begins. Like, this is, you got all the good stuff done.
Yep.
409, he hit the ground.
Yeah. So I started doing the, like, all right, we got to clean them off, take pictures. We propped them up for a while, took a bunch of pictures. I had it in my head to take a photo with the moose and all three of us smoking cigars.
I love that photo. What a great photo.
Oh my God. I think that's going to become a staple. It's going to be a terrible thing for me, but if I start actually
everyone else is going to start doing this now.
Oh yeah.
They're going to start taking cigar pictures over their big bulls, and we'll be like, yeah.
Do it.
Like, we started.
Do it. This is a message. This is a message to everybody listening. You shoot a big buck this fall, send me a picture of you smoking a big old stogie behind that thing. Tag them in it.
Well, we do it a ton when we turkey hunt. That's what we do. We smoke cigars with the turkey. It's Martic. Well, Martic, not you. You didn't start it. Who started it?
Dave Owens.
Dave Owens started it from the Peyote Project. Yeah, he was the one who started Pinhoti. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, like you're saying, the work started. 0.4 of a mile back to the truck. Dawson ran down with Tanner's girlfriend Cass to get frame pack and some ratchet straps and just extra knives and stuff.
Yeah.
So her and I started cutting, or Tanner and
The
I started
message out.
cutting.
Sent the message out via InReach to Kenzie to post it on the Instagram. Let everyone know we had one down, which is convenient. I recommend anyone going out in the woods with no service have an InReach.
I love I love the InReach Facebook posts.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
it's convenient.
Yeah.
It's convenient that you can
Yeah.
actually let everyone know, and then
Yeah.
building that hype up.
Well, it's also the style
Yeah.
to it. It looks like a
Yeah.
written note.
Yeah,
Right.
worked out really well that way. We ended up getting him out. I want to say it was like 5 hours or something ridiculous.
3 trips though, only 3 trips.
trips.
3 trips where we had the 2 pack mules you see here. The brothers lugged while Cass and I did the cutting, flipped it over, did the other side. Tanner there took a bite out of the heart. I had a little bit of the tenderloin, which, man, a little bit of
Feels good.
salt, and that might really become a good meal.
You ate it raw?
Yeah. Yep.
Was
It
it
wasn't
that
bad.
good?
I'll do it again. Yeah.
Really?
It was
Mm.
irony, but it wasn't bad. Like you said, a little salt on it. It was fine.
Wait, how come we're acknowledging the tenderloin got eaten raw, but Tanner here grabbed the heart and literally bit out of the heart raw and ate it? Like, let's just
all right.
guys Cali mod moose heart out of it.
Yeah, he like dug the heart out.
Oh,
He's
you
like,
could hear it.
So my thing with the heart is, right, like everybody takes a bite out. You take a bite out of your first deer heart, you know, but the tenderloin, who does that? Like, that's like,
Okay, sorry.
It
I was
wasn't
just
bad.
too
The
mainstream.
butcher does.
sorry,
yeah.
sorry, Tanner, sorry.
Trying to have my moment.
Yeah,
But the
all
back,
right.
out, the back out went really smooth. We actually had an old skid trail right there, and it wasn't like it was grown in, but we were able to pretty much stay in the old tire tracks all the way down. And it, like Ian said, a 0.4 of a mile, so almost a half a mile pack out. And Tanner went down first load with a hind quarter on his back, front shoulder on my back. Came back up. I
Did
think
that
we did
again.
that again.
Yeah,
and
we
then
did.
final trip was scrap meat, loins, and the head.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel
Dawson
like
and I
it's-
did a big pole, like the old timey photos. We tied on the neck meat, the loins were on his back, and then the scrap meat were all on his pole. So it's like 100-something pound pole, just
Yeah,
flopping
pictures of
around and waving through the trees, but worked
Oh, yeah.
out. And then that next day we kind of drove it into town. We covered it up overnight really well and came back, packed up camp, which if we have to do it again, I think we can pack up camp and take the moose out at the same time. That would have saved us a little bit of mileage.
Yeah.
I have a video of me just standing over the moose of like, how and what happened? Because it just, from the time he grunted the first time to when he was on the ground, couldn't have been more than 10 minutes.
It was one of the greatest
Well-
experiences that happened so fast.
I can tell you right now, I'm pretty sure the video on my GoPro was 9 minutes. In that last minute, he was on the ground. So yeah, it must have been right around the 10-minute mark. From when we
Yeah.
heard him grunt, he was dead.
Is that normal to kill him that fast?
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's there's really no with
My
moose hunting.
mother's took a little longer.
Yeah, there's so many different scenarios that can happen moose hunting. You
I
can't
think-
like say what's normal, what's not, because you have the people that can get them into a cut, but they might want to get them 200 yards closer. So it's going to take them 30 minutes to get up to you, or they're going to run up to you in 5. Or like our scenario, he came out of nowhere, showed up, we shot him. Or you're driving. Some people will shoot them, they're standing in the road and they're dead. You shoot them in the road, you shoot them. There's so many different
Well,
scenarios.
Yeah, and also with the case with him coming up, though he came up right on us, we had to wait for our opportunity because we had such a thicket in
Yeah.
front of us. You also got to think about when your shot is there. Do you
Yeah.
have the shot? Do I have to wait till he moves? Am I able to shoot through this thicket?
The
There's
video
so
on my
many.
phone of you guys is 1 minute and 30 seconds.
That was the longest minute. No, it was quick. in real time.
That's
While watching
after
the
I
video
cow
call.
called the first time. That's
Yeah.
after the first cow calls, where between the smell of those scrapes swirling that whole block, and then
That smell was a
like
death.
probably 5 minutes of cow calling at the scrapes, and then we walked up the little hill. He grunts. He only grunted like 10 or 15 times on the way in. And between us, like, go to the bank, no, come back, and then like figure out where we're actually going to be. And me, I'm not going to take the total blame for them being behind a tree, but I was like, we just need to stay here because I can see him. He's picking us right out where we are.
I would actually blame me for putting us behind the tree because I saw him coming down and I'm like, we need to get down now. And where we got down just happened to be in the shittiest spot
This is the first
in that
time.
whole area.
This is the first time you've ever taken blame for anything.
I know, it's crazy. But no, I saw his paddles. I'm just like, oh gosh, we gotta hide. We're not blowing this. It's Wednesday. They're halfway through the week. This is the halfway point. And we have bad weather coming.
Yeah.
So it's like do or die. And it worked out, but it could have been better if we've been 6 feet to the left. But I mean, it is what it is. You got to make do with it.
It built to the
Where shit
experience,
happens.
if anything.
It would have just been over quicker. And I said it to these guys on Monday, and I said it to them on Tuesday. Who the hell would want to shoot a moose on Monday? Who would want to shoot a moose on Tuesday? You don't get the experience. You don't, like, we called in the big one Monday morning, we called in a little one Monday night, saw a cow on Tuesday, saw that huge one again Wednesday morning, and then shot one Wednesday night. You wouldn't have had all these experiences.
Think about it though. We saw a lot more moose than a lot of other people did.
Yes.
A lot of people did not see moose.
Is that just because they're not putting in that type of effort? Is it just a young man's game? Is that what it is?
It's
Homework.
turning into that.
Homework.
If-
Do your homework and get off the road.
It's so much. It's I wouldn't say it's so much doing the homework and setting game cameras. It's basically getting off the road because that spot we went to, there's that little bit of homework we did, but even like there's water and there's feed. You know, you got to know the basically
Understand your mapping system.
yeah, and like you don't need to have all these cameras out there. Although it helped us in the first couple days, we were hunting spots where we knew there was some bulls. But most of the time, you're not shooting a bull that's going to be on camera. You're going to go into a spot you haven't been to yet, or you've only been to a handful of times, and it just looks moosey. If it just looks moosey and you can get in there and sound kind of like a moose, you can probably get it done, but you're not going to get it done driving the roads looking and cut.
Yeah.
Some people are going to, but it's just the moose numbers are lower, which is good. They need to be lower. There was way too many back in early 2000s. And they're getting smarter. They know the cuts aren't safe. It's too close to the road. They get pestered by people all summer too. It's not just hunting season, it's all summer. And they're moving farther in. And that's just where you got to find them nowadays.
Let me break this down to basically what they're both saying. I'll make it short and sweet. Basically, it's doing your homework, knowing your map system, like Ian said, knowing the surrounding areas. And the biggest one I think which helps is knowing your target. Like the moose was the goal. Know your target prey. The moose is what we knew about the feed, locations, where are they going to be when it's hot, what they're going to eat at this time, where they're going to rut, looking at rut sign. It's knowing your target.
Rut sign was big. That's a big thing. And there wasn't that much rut sign where we killed this bull. There was what, maybe
no red sign.
two broken off alders. But the fact that we knew there was cows there just because of those scrapes, go where the cows are, basically. Yeah. If there's cows, there's bulls.
I'm gonna sprinkle a little more to what I was saying is, and those factors, and just a little bit of luck. Like we didn't know there was a bull up there. Like you said, very little rut sign. We just took the chance, went up there, and everything just, the ducks lined up, stars aligned, domino effect, whatever you want to call it. Everything came to that moment.
I'd say it's 70-30. 70% luck, 30% skill. And that's being generous too.
Come on.
Yeah.
Ian's like, what? Yeah, typical Mainers. Typical Mainers. No.
Like button head, like Ian, I mean, yeah, oh my gosh. I was like, Ian, if you haven't called in, if we haven't killed a moose by Thursday, I'm taking over the call. Beginning of the week, Monday morning, Ian's calling, and I'm like, oh gosh. And it wasn't bad by any means.
Got
it's
better. It got better.
by Wednesday, if I was a bull, I'd be humping Ian's leg. He
So-
was sounding damn good.
So that's a whole nother thing, right? So like a lot of people will go up to Maine and moose hunt, but like it's not like they moose call all the time. You're getting 1 in 30 years. Are you going to learn to be able to go if you're not a guide? So how do you even learn how to moose call? Like, how is that even a thing?
It's a pitch thing, and it's
Annoying people.
pitching your nose and going, oh yeah, but not like that. But it's not terribly hard to do. It's just knowing your pitch.
Well,
and
let's
how
hear
to
it.
drag it out. Ian, you go first.
I'm gonna put this mic a little farther away. I don't want to scream.
I'll get to it. Yeah, I can hear.
I absolutely hate Ian's grunt call, by the way.
It goes. It goes, buddy.
Dawson, let's hear it. Well, you guys are hired when I draw. No.
Yeah, that's illegal. We're not
I have to
guys.
point out, I think what really brought this bull in was the one single grunt call I did.
Oh,
like 20 minutes before we shot him, we're like, all right, Tanner, do a
I
grunt
was
call.
like, I want to do it. And they're like, all right, Tanner, give it a go. I was like, all right, cool. And I went, or something. It wasn't even like that. It was a little
those are perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
Just gotta
not
sound
every
kind of
moose
like
sounds
a
the
moose.
same.
Exactly.
It's like turkey hunting.
Yep. It's a lot like it, actually, if you think about it. Turkey hunt and moose hunting.
You said
They're
I have a
not
turkey
that
on
different.
more than
I kill more turkeys than I do moose, but I don't even kill that many turkeys.
Well, that's it. Like I said, man, it's not like you can become a professional moose hunter unless you're a guide, because
Yeah.
like these, I mean, how often do you actually get drawn? You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's every day that you guys are out. It's not like a turkey, or it's not like a deer. It's not something you get to do all the time. But it's just crazy because like when I was up there for bear camp, you could see all the campers coming in for the first week. They were just like a week before the season. They're coming in to scout and they're just starting to learn everything and, you know, get to know it, you know, just to try and figure out what's going on.
And with the pressure in the woods, that's a huge factor in the moose too.
Yeah,
Once
geez.
they start coming in scouting, it really pushes the moose out. But with calling moose, like me and Ian growing up, like in high school, we used to go play with the moose before the season and make him smarter. Not intentionally trying to smarten up the moose for the moose hunt, but we were just going to play with moose, calling them. And a lot of that is getting your practice there. Or I run greater in the woods, and I've called 6 or 7 bulls in on my way to work. I'll see a moose walk across the road. I'll get out. I'll walk 50 yards the other way and start calling. And I've had him come into 20 yards. Especially I've tried calling in a big bull, and a smaller bull came in, and I mean, it kind of pissed me off because I wanted the big bull, but I'm like, all right, I can call a moose in. Yeah, it's a younger one, but I was able to call a moose in. I actually saw a nice bull the other day by my cabin.
bigger than Big Dog.
Wider for sure.
Son of a bitch.
But a lot of it, I mean, practice. You get good at your moose calls and stuff, and it's not hard. A lot of people use the electric calls too, which I'm not a fan
Is that legal?
of. Yep,
It
you
is,
can use
yeah.
electric call.
But where's the skill?
No. I like the fact of the 3 of you guys running around the woods making all kinds of noise and making it pay off. I mean, that's the way it's done. That's
Yeah.
what's up, dude.
It's going out and having some fun. Like it would have really been a pain coming to like Friday and Saturday and running around in circles. But I think over the next like probably 3 weeks or so, we're gonna have a video that comes out, and it's gonna be both me, Dawson, kind of contributing some factors to this, like what are 5 things that you need to know when you're going on your first moose hunt?
Mm-hmm.
I got lucky this year and I went on 3 of them. Dawson's been on 3 or 4.
I've been on my uncle's 2. I think I've just been on 2. I've played with a lot of moose, but actual being on a moose hunt. And
yeah,
let me take a second. I went on my uncle's moose hunt. He shot his Saturday morning on the last day, but his hunting, and he shot a nice bull, don't get me wrong. The way we hunted with him was completely different. He was driving around looking in cuts to shoot a moose. He did some walking. He walked in the cuts a little bit. I mean, he has the means of getting one out. He has a 4-wheeler with a winch with tracks on it. Got a Jeep. He's got all that stuff. Hell, he's got graders. He can go get one with the grader.
If he wanted that moose out, it was coming out.
But that was completely different, driving around with 2 trucks looking for a moose versus this one where we're putting on miles every day. The first steps in the morning of legal light, before legal light, we're already walking. And I wonder how we didn't track our miles, but we did a handful of miles just walking in the cuts, walking over hills, and some shitty walking in some spots, blowdowns and wet. But the moose loved.
I'm glad we didn't get a moose in that last fall.
So you're literally like turkey hunting and just getting in those spots, waiting to hear that call or find that sign and just get on them and trying to get them to react to you.
Yep.
Our kind of game plan when we set a lot of these trail cameras, it's going to sound dumb to a lot of people, where this is a lot of what happens up in like those big zones, zone 1, zone 4, zone 8. You always hear those zones get thrown out. Drive to the end of old winter road, you walk 500 yards and you throw a camera on the trail. We wanted to go a little bit extra. We put our cameras kind of a little more strategically. It's on a Y. It's on a 3-way intersection. It's all right. There's water down here. There's a bedding up here, cuts, and we tried to pick out better areas. And then in the morning, you show up. You've got anywhere from half to a 1-mile walk into the spot. You're calling every so often. You sit, you call, or you don't sit. You just stand on the side of the road, try and spread out from everybody so you're really hearing. And you do a calling sequence of maybe it's like 2-3 cow calls or a bull grunt, a couple bull grunts on the side, trying to figure some stuff out. And that was really cool to see the differences between calling in the September season up north and then calling in the October season a little farther south, more central to the state, like height wise. Waiting that 5 to 10 minutes after you do that call is critical to me, and how new I am to this. I will totally recognize I don't know shit from applesauce in this. Wait, be patient, and I totally will say that is the reason I jumped the bull on my mom's hunt. We had walked back out the road, and we jumped one right off the side of the road. Could hear paddles running through the woods. Man, it must have been big because it sounded like a tree came down. But just that patience level of trying to wait after those cow calls, I think, is a big deal. We didn't hear damn near any responses all week. We might have had a cow call respond once, and then maybe a grunt all week. And then that grunt that ended up being the moose we shot was, God, I want to say that was probably 6 or 8 minutes after the cow calls I had done. And I had already kind of like, all right, we're going to walk more. And we walked up to the top, stopped for a second, and then heard him already coming in.
Around. We ended up shooting the shit some, talking. There was a partridge up in a tree. Cass took pictures of that partridge up in the tree. We're just kind of chilling, talking.
Quietly, but I mean,
we're talking.
Those calls were reaching a lot farther than our whispering. But with them cow calls, he heard that making his way towards us, catch wind of that cow piss. I mean, it's just a deadly combo. And like Ian's saying, it's a patience game when you're calling. We did a lot of that calling and wait 10, 15 minutes sometimes, or we'd get in a spot like that morning we saw that cow where we'd call and wait,
just sit there,
call and wait. Because
too good of a spot.
It's gonna walk by eventually. It's just when. Which we saw some nice deer. We saw some nice bucks, jump some deer, which is kind of neat out there. We might have to go deer hunting again.
Wink, wink, nudge,
But
nudge.
yeah, it's a waiting game, and that's really all it is. And getting in with the moose, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't sound it sometimes to some people, but it's a lot of fun. That's probably one of the most fun hunts I've done was that moose hunt. May have only been 3 days, but we did a lot in that 3 days. And that the biggest thing for me was camp atmosphere. Long day of hunting. We get back. We cook freaking spaghetti and garlic bread, like the garlic bread right on the wood stove. I mean, it was phenomenal. Slept nice in a tent. Waking up sucked. It was cold as balls in that tent.
I hate when that happens.
It was cold, but
That's camp. That's
Exactly.
That's that camp feel.
Nobody got
sure.
up in the middle of the night and put wood in the wood stove in the camp.
Neither
Nope.
one of the guys that were supposed to take care of me
Not
took
even-
care of me for the morning. They're
Whoa,
like,
whoa,
you
whoa,
wanted
whoa,
to be warm. Why would you get up and do it?
Don't
And it's
listen to
like,
this guy.
you guys are helping me out, so this is a part of that.
He laid in bed till I had the wood stove going again, and Ian had breakfast done.
Oh yeah, it was phenomenal.
And then he'd get out of bed.
I'm a bitch when it comes to the cold. Not gonna
Oh.
lie.
You drew the tag. You did the hard work. So, and these guys get to enjoy it, right? So that's the way it's supposed to be, right?
It's fun.
Yeah.
Camp atmosphere,
Yeah,
though.
it was a great.
We talked about, like, we're in the camper right now. If we would have brought this out there, yeah, it would have been really nice. We would have been warm every morning. But I told Tanner when he drew his tag, I'm like, canvas tent hunt. We're going to talk to Ian. We're going to try doing this in a canvas tent and getting that traditional feeling. And we got every
Yeah.
bit.
that
It's
made
the
it
only
great.
way to do it. It's the only way to do it, man.
Yeah.
We
It
weren't just the only canvas tent. There was one other one, which was huge because we were going to actually scout this area, and there ended up being a tent right there. So we're like, oh damn, we're turning around. But it was a huge tent. Other than that, there was all the other hunters were either A, coming in from town every morning and driving all those miles every morning. Two, the ones that brought out campers, like I wish we kind of did, but I'm glad we didn't. Or three, there's actually some trailers out there that people I think either rented.
Too much.
Just exit.
I was gonna ask that earlier, but I
Mardik,
don't
we
wanna
can't see your
interrupt.
face.
Yeah, with technical difficulties here. Surprise, surprise.
Oh.
Hey, so I wanted to ask that a while ago, but I was kind of waiting. You said Monday morning you guys headed out early because you wanted to beat the crowd. I know that that's a big zone, but just out of curiosity, how many tags are drawn in that zone, and what's the presence like when you're out there as far as like running into other hunters while you're out there, or what? How's that work?
Dawson's looking at numbers right now.
Yeah,
I know
check
when we
numbers.
got out from where our first spot was, we saw a train of 9 sets of headlights
Yeah, it was
that opening morning. But
Yeah.
the previous, like the couple days before that, I wasn't out there. I didn't get out there till Saturday afternoon. But these guys, they probably saw a whole bunch of people doing scouting. Roads
Yeah.
must have been busy.
Dawson and I were out there before the hunt really started. Friday it was packed. There was a lot of people, but I know that a lot of that was both bird hunters and some just like tourist kind of stuff.
The bird hunters. It's that time of year.
Leaf peepers.
Leaf
Leaf
peepers,
peepers.
bird hunters,
No, man.
scouters,
a lot of workers. 2:30 in the morning, we were hearing trucks coming in to go to work.
Loggers.
Yeah,
Yep.
woods workers. Yeah.
They're doing a ton of cutting up there right now.
Yeah, they're doing
Sorry.
quite.
Yeah.
Find the exact amount we had. In
Well, so anyways, the basic question was, even though how vast it is and how hard it is to draw a tag, you're still dealing with pressure and other hunters.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Whether it's competition or even the presence of just other sports hunters, I guess, like bird hunters.
Yeah.
It's just, and the workers, I'm not too worried about woods workers because I feel as though the moose are used to that. But once you get bird hunters, they explore these random roads or walk through the woods, and that's putting pressure there. Then you've got your competition of other moose hunters, hoping they're not hunting the same area as you or you as them. It could go any way like that.
okay.
Right, but that probably where it helps. You guys were willing to go a little deeper than the crowd.
Absolutely. A majority of the road hunters were either A, older folk, which I completely understand, and they get the buy for that, or just, I guess you could say, I don't want to say it to be a dick, but lazy. Like no one wants to go and put in that work. And
I'll say that
found,
in all caps. Lazy
Yeah.
people, lazy
All right.
people not putting in the work.
So,
Get off the road.
so go ahead, Smartick, say or saying.
Kill's gonna kill.
No, 10, it's only 10% want to put in 100% of the work.
Right.
We have a 10 percenters, the drive, and it's 10% that only want to
Absolutely.
that only want to put in 100% of work. And it goes to show, man. I mean, look at our trophy rooms, look at the things that we do and we accomplish. But whether it's a pile of sheds, whether it's the big moose you guys killed, Mardik's ET buck, my big buck, like you go above and beyond to get those things beyond the boundaries, and you get that to, you know what I'm saying? You have to go and you have to have that drive. That's what it's all about, dude, is the drive.
You got to have the outdoor drive.
That's it. The outdoor drive. Duh.
Yeah, I had my outdoor drive koozie all week out there.
Oh, my man.
I did. Yeah.
You know, it's a great point though. I mean, like this really showed what beyond the boundaries is. We went beyond those boundaries. But
Right.
back to our thing about how many permits are given out. In zone 8 alone, there is 200 bull tags given out.
No.
There's 300 tags total, so there's 100 cow tags, which that hunt starts next week, and 200 bull tags, which was the week we hunted. So there's 200 other tag holders out there hunting, and per tag holder, you can expect anywhere from at least 3. I rarely is there ever 2 people. At least 3 to
There's 4
6.
for this one.
Yeah, 3 to 6 other people in the woods with that person. Some people have crews with them. It's unreal. So you divide that on however many huntable acres that is, which is a lot. But, you know, a lot of them acres you can't access them too easily. But, I mean, that's kind of where we're going just to get away from that 199 other tag holders.
Yeah, dude, that's wild.
I don't know how many of you guys are willing to pack a bull out a mile or 2 miles, but if he's looking like that one that we sent you, I walk a long ways for that moose. I'd do it.
It only hurts for a little while.
You got a whole week to get it out.
Yeah,
whatever.
I'll take my sweet time doing it.
Yep.
I'll do it all myself if it takes it. But like I was saying, that video that we want to put out of like the 5 things you got to know. Like when it comes down to it, don't be afraid to call. Like change it up too. Be open to change. Be open to advice. Because like at the start of the week, I was just, this is what we're doing. Like we're gonna walk right in that area and kill that big moose. That's just all we're here for. Dawson had input. I had input. We did the button heads thing, and then we figured it out. And
I kind of had input, but that got brushed to the side sometimes.
Yeah.
So I just kind of sit there and look pretty.
Didn't even look.
And then in the back of our heads, it's like, don't be afraid to go elsewhere. We had 4 cameras out. I brought 3 more, put them out. We had bulls on most every camera. We had 2 to 3 bulls on every single camera we had. And we still went to an area that we didn't have a camera at. So going out of that comfort zone of like, I know there's moose in the area. Don't be afraid to test that theory. Go test it somewhere else. Keep pushing it.
Spot we're gonna go back to if someone else gets a tag too. That spot was beautiful.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah. His place is going to be taken on that block. Yep.
Well, boys, we have one last question for you. We'll go round table about it. And what drives you guys outdoors? Let's start with Tanner.
Oh, why me? What?
Your hunt. You drew the tag.
It's true.
What drives you to be out? What drives me?
What drives you outdoors, buddy? Not your car, not your camper, not your feet.
Outdoors, I think. Damn, I was gonna say that too. What drives me outdoors is just getting out there, getting the experience, living life, seeing everything, and just learning. you can't beat it. You can't do it from a computer desk. You can't do it from your living room. You get out there, you get the fresh air, and just experience everything. And whether it be something new or something you've done for a while, just get out there. And that's what gets me out there, is just to learn and expand my knowledge of the outdoors. I did after this moose hunt. I've learned a lot about moose hunting, and I look forward to the future tag and helping out, whether it be hopefully another future tag if I get one, or my brother or Ian or whoever I get to help. I can use that knowledge I've gained.
How about you, Dawson?
Drives me outdoors, society. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can all kind of relate to that. You get outside, you get away from all that. You're learning. And a lot of it, like with what me and Ian are doing, we're trying to teach too. And, trying to teach the next generation. I like to teach my sisters. I caught a coyote today in a trap, brought it home, showed my little sister, try to get her into it, but just trying to get away from society. You clear your head, and it's just something I love to do. I love to hunt. I love to fish. I love to trap. I love to be outside. So basically my love for the outdoors is bringing me outside too. And I don't think I'll ever stop. So.
How about you, Ian?
I think it's the silence. And I think it's the silence when you're out, whether it's a track or trapping or something. You think it's silent, but it's never quite silent. And it's also the hunt within that of we're all out there hunting, but we are all out there hunting for something else. Whether that is the 5 seconds of adrenaline that we get when we actually do pull the trigger, maybe once a year, if we're lucky, or it's the 2 hours that we're dragging something out of the woods, or it's the chase, or it's the conversation that we can have like this, where I think it's the people's interactions and meeting people that drives me. Where when I come back and what I've kind of created with this brand and YouTube channel is connecting with people, where I said it at Huntstock when I was on the stage, it's like, you guys got a question? Like, talk to me. I'm into it. I don't have much going on. In the fall, I do. But I'll still message you back. You got a question, ask me. I'm always up for the conversation. I'm always up for questions. I'm always up to have some kind of dialogue about something in the outdoor world. And I think that is what's driving me, just talking to people and kind of inspiring that next generation, like Dawson said.
I think it's so important, honestly, because that next generation is so important to our future, to moose hunting, to bear hunting, to deer hunting, to trapping. Trapping is the biggest of them all, to be honest. I mean, that's the biggest dying breed, especially here. You guys do it a ton up there, but down here, it's horrible, man. Nobody traps no more. The money's not in the fur. You know what I'm saying? So what you guys are doing and educating people and getting it, down to that next generation and taking it to that next level is 100% very important to this industry, or it won't be anything left of it. And you guys are probably seeing it. What it was 10, 15, 20 years ago up north is not what it is today. It is totally different.
Not in the least. When I started trapping, you could put certain traps on the ground and you could do it that way. They didn't have to be enclosed. There was so many regulations within trapping. And God, we could have a whole damn hour and a half podcast.
Oh, yeah.
On trapping alone.
Yeah, you could.
That's for you guys. I'm not in that one.
It's
Sorry,
such a
Tanner.
fascinating world.
Oh, good.
Where Dawson, how he said he caught that coyote today. Trapping is under attack. It has been for the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Dawson posted a story today of his yote in a trap. And I didn't see it for a minute. And then I messaged him. I was like, great, nice yote. That's just my reaction to it. And before this podcast, I had a guy DM me and it was like, hey,
I saw that.
Just a heads up, this is kind of fuel for the other side fire. It's just adding, people could record it and then spread it out. It's like, all right, tomorrow I'm going to make a story of stuffing my hand in the trap and yanking on it a couple times.
Yeah.
It's not breaking bones. It's not bleeding these animals out. It's not breaking their
I
feet.
caught my finger in a trap 2 days ago, and it stung. It did sting. It was right where the nail meets the skin, but it didn't. I bled for a second, but it didn't break anything. It only hurt for a few seconds, and all these animals were catching in those traps. You can let them go right after. They're not damaged.
Right.
That coyote I caught today, I caught it by 2 toes. I could have easily opened that trap up and he would have ran away just fine. But he kills deer, so he didn't get to live.
That's right. Well, boys, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you for the guys that want to follow along? I know there's a premiere on the 24th of Ian's Mother's, but when does this hunt actually come out?
So let's see. My expectation for Tanner and Dawson's hunt is likely the 7th of November.
Fantastic. Cool.
That is the hope right now. That is not official, but that means a trailer or my mom's hunt has to get edited. My uncle's hunt needs to get edited. And then Tanner and Dawson's hunt needs to get edited.
So this podcast is actually, people are listening to this on the 27th of October. So it'll be another week and it will be coming, well, a little bit more than that, but so it'll be around the same exact time. So they have something to look forward to. They can watch your mother's hunt and then go on and wait a couple of days and then watch Tanner's and Dawson's hunt.
Yep. So if you're listening to this on the 27th of October, a beautiful Thursday, the 29th is the premiere. So mark your calendar for 2 days from now and go watch it. Beyond the Boundaries on YouTube, Beyond the Boundaries 207 on TikTok, Ian McSandy on TikTok, and Beyond the Boundaries _PROD on Instagram. Same thing or so on Facebook. And then it's Ian McKendry _BTB on Instagram.
Fantastic. Guys, we can't thank you enough for joining us. Steve, do you have anything else you want to ask the boys before we cut them off?
Oh, man, everything's good. I really enjoyed that story.
Steve's taking a nap. Actually, we just woke him up.
No.
He was like Tanner in the deer stand. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
My man,
all right,
Mardik.
I got one question. What count? Let me hear about the moose rifles. What are you shooting there? 300 Win Mag or?
I was shooting the 30
six.
I
Six. Yep.
I used a 270.
That a boy. One of my favorite calibers.
That's my favorite caliber.
Yeah.
But
Now,
you can find my Instagram at Dawson Daigle _BTB, or at TikTok it's at that mountain man. So that, well, I guess the at that _mountain _man. And Facebook, you can just find me Dawson Daigle.
Yeah. And for me, Facebook, you just find me Tanner Daigle, or Instagram with Tanner Daigle _BTB.
Awesome.
I'm TikTok stuff. I leave that to Dawson.
Come on, TikTok's where it's at. No, TikTok's gone downhill.
Dawson can post a 6-second video of antlers he found with Ian and get 1.4 million views, and I could spend 10 hours on something and only get 5.
Yeah.
That's
Just
how
luck
it
of the
works.
draw. You just keep drawing moose tags.
I'll keep doing that.
Just keep
please.
putting eights.
I gotta call for somebody.
Yeah. Well, if you guys haven't already, make sure you go and check out Beyond the Boundaries. All the boys over there, Dawson, Tanner, Ian, and the girls also. Can't forget about those guys neither. But check those guys out. They're doing a great job. You guys keep on driving forward. We can't wait to see what comes along. Maybe we'll be shed hunting here in the spring together. Hopefully, that's in my hopes. I'm, hoping for that. And for everybody else, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.